Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about the new weapon that was introduced with trying to become a formidable combatant missions. This weapon is going to be one of the best weapons for new and returning players, and you should be able to complete all the missions to obtain the weapon, and I recommend you to do so as fast as you can, since it's going to be a really important weapon for everyone once you obtain it. And why is that? The new weapon, Truth Kazaka's Venom, as you can see, it's this blue dagger. It resembles the SR weapon we had previously, but it's an improved version, so to speak. And it's really important for everyone, especially new players and returning players, since you might be missing a ton of weapons for not playing the game, or if you're just starting you still don't have any weapons. This is going to be the best weapon for you. And why is that? Well, let's see what she does. When the user uses Vanishing Shade, it creates a veil of poison around them. Vanishing Shade is the weapon skill. When you use the skill, you get Veil of Poison. It inflicts deadly poison around you and deals 110% of the user's attack every 3 seconds, and decreases recovery rate by 70% for 20 seconds. So, as you can see, by using the skill, you have a poison fog around you that will deal damage constantly to enemies. And when you afflict 5 times the poison, it paralyzes your opponent and decreases the target's attack by 3%, so it's 15%. Basically, when you have 5 stacks of spasms, you paralyze the opponent and decrease the attack by 15%. And the paralyze is an interruption for 1 second. But why is the weapon so important? Well, if you see the first upgrade, it says when you use the Vanishing Shade, your skill, you gain a shield. But the important part is, when entering the instance dungeon, activates the dungeon killer effect. When the title Wolf Assassin Blessing Stone is equipped, it activates the Kazaka's Gaze effect. So you gain a shield, which is always nice, but the important part is the dungeon killer and Kazaka's Gaze. Dungeon killer increases critical hit rate and critical hit damage by 20%. So just from having this weapon in the dungeon, you will have 20% crit rate and crit damage. If you have the cap of 50%, you're already at 70% crit rate. And it also deals water elemental damage as if the target's weakness regardless of the target's element, which means that you don't need to care about your opponent's weakness. The dagger will always be type advantage. And this is really good and really important for returning players that don't have any old weapons, and the new players that won't have any weapons, at least not any good weapon. So this is a really good weapon, and especially for new and returning players, since it will be the best way to help you clear the dungeons and farm artifacts to upgrade your artifacts and become strong enough to then defeat all the new bosses, the new modes, all of that. You'll need artifacts to do that, and this weapon will make it so you can always farm the artifacts without caring about the type. It will always be weak to water damage. And Kazaka's Gaze increases damage dealt to bosses by the same amount dealt to normal monsters through the title Wolf Assassin bonus. So if you have the title Wolf Assassin bonus equipped, you will deal to bosses the same damage it will deal to normal monsters. But what is the title Wolf Assassin? This is the Blessing Stone title Wolf Assassin, and the damage dealt to normal monsters decreases by 12%. This is nice to farm mobs, but it wasn't that useful against bosses. But now, with the new weapon, you can use this Blessing Stone and you will deal 12% more damage to bosses. At least the purple version. The legendary version will deal more damage, and the rare version will deal less damage. But the point is, if you have if you have A1 Kazaka's Venom, you will have 12% damage increase against bosses, which is really good and really important to farm the bosses. So I would recommend you to get the weapon as fast as you can, and this blessing should, at least the rare version, should be something you acquire easily, since it's probably story based. It was a long time since I got the blessing, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you get this blessing stone quite easily. So you just need to use this stone and you will have the increased damage against bosses. Now the rest of the improvements gives you water damage increase. The third one, when you use the skill, you activate Majestic Kazaka effect, which enhances the Kazaka's deadly poisons effect. It increases your attack by 20% for 10 seconds, and the damage from your poison is 200% of your attack instead of 110%. So it's increased damage, which is always good, and 20% increased attack is a lot, so it's really good to have the third option. The fourth decrease your cooldown by 20%. The skill, since you have to use your skill as much as possible, the fact that decreases your cooldown by 20% is a lot, and it's really good. And the last one increases your skill damage by 150%. So as you can see, you have to obtain all the stars to obtain as much damage as you can, but the most important one you have to obtain, at least early, is the Kazaka's Gaze, since it will give you bonus damage against bosses with the title of Assassin, and the Dungeon Killer that lets you farm artifacts way easier, and that way you can get stronger faster. It's amazing for new players, returning players, and free-to-play players. So don't forget to obtain this weapon and farm for it. It's worth it, especially as I mentioned a ton in this video. If you're returning player or new player, this is especially good for you. If you're missing the good weapons from certain elements, you can just use the Kazaka's Venom instead. And especially since you can obtain a lot of copies for free, it's really good, since it will probably be your strongest weapon, unless you of course have a ton of weapons with a ton of stars. For instance, I have one 5-star, but the rest is still 3 stars and below. 2 5-stars, I apologize. But the rest is 3 stars or below. So if I can get this to A5, it will be my strongest weapon alongside my katana and my spear. So I'm going to be doing that, and I recommend you all to do that. That's going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.